today we are doing a summary of the chapter 26, the transition, and in section 7, the laws of healing. We already discussed it, but we want to try and hit the bullet points once again because they seemed really important. So that's what we're doing right now. So the first is that this is a Course in Miracles. As such, the laws of healing must be understood before the purpose of this course can be accomplished.
What's interesting is the healing aspect, as I said, harkens back to Asclepius, which is the first book that Helen Schucman found in her
dream or
reverie
vision?
or dream or vision or whatever it was. And that's
Yes.
the God of healing. So it's the laws of healing. So we're understanding the whole course
Right here. Yeah.
as being laws of healing
Yeah.
that must be understood.
Right.
That's the first thing.
In order for the course to be accomplished.
Right.
Okay. The second law of healing is that all sickness comes from separation. When the separation is denied, it goes.
Well, here there's the understanding of what do we mean by sickness and what do we mean by separation. Mm-hmm. So,
well, all sickness is related to the separation. I mean,
but what is sickness?
Sickness,
what is sickness
is anything where you're outside of peace.
Anything outside of peace, any upset, any disturbance, anything that if you say, is this joyful? And the answer is no, then you're sick.
Yeah, you're in a sick mind. Most of the time, most people are in some state of a sick mind.
No, so what's separation?
Separation is the first mad idea that I could
First
be
mad
separate.
idea, but what's our experience of separation on a daily, momentary basis?
Is that there are items everywhere that I am separate from.
That's right. That is the problem. So sickness comes from the idea that I live in a fragmented world, period. That's it is. And when the separation is denied, in other words, I say, I'm not in a fragmented world. I'm not there. Mm-hmm. The sickness goes away. That's what it's saying.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So.
And the third law of healing says that guilt asks for punishment and its request is granted, not in truth, but in the world of shadows and illusions built on sin.
So guilt wants to be punished and it gets it.
Yes.
And that punishment is being equated with, in the prior principle, sickness. Mm-hmm. Sickness is punishment.
Right.
That's why, that's how it's held. So
I'm just going to go into like a childhood thing where I did something that I knew was wrong. I'm just going to call it that I stole something. That isn't the actual thing that happened, but I stole something. Now, I want to be punished for what happened. I know that you think that, well, why would you want to be punished? Now, when I brought this situation up to my parents as an 8-year-old, what was going on, nothing happened. And I was like, it left a void. It left a place where I was like, but I knew I did something wrong. I knew that it deserved punishment. And, but no, it was just, let's forget about it. And I was like, I carried guilt about it forever. For
the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because when you do something wrong, for real,
yeah,
it requires compensation. And if you don't get that compensation as
right.
you understand it, you're constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. So what it's saying is, in this world of separate objects at
yes.
the deepest level, there's winners and losers, and there's no escape.
Yeah, and there's a sense that if you don't bear the consequences, then you're not sure where your boundaries are, or whatever it was. At any rate, I just recognized that guilt asks for punishment, and its request is granted.
Right.
Well, I did my own self-punishment. So that ends up happening when we feel as though we've violated something as well, moral laws or whatever they are in your own personal world, and then it's like, oh, I got away with that. But there's always a sense of something is going to drop. At any rate, paragraph 4, or the fourth law of healing is that perception's laws are the opposite to truth, and that it somehow can be apart from it.
So in other words, the perception's laws are opposite to truth. This is saying, in a succinct way, that everything that I experience, my entire experience, which is perceptual law,
right,
is the opposite of truth. Now, it says in the prior paragraph, it says, kept apart from truth, it seems to have meaning and be real. It, meaning the punishment, seems to have meaning and is real.
Yes.
Now, what happens is, apart from truth. So now we're going to have to understand again, what is the truth? But perception's laws are opposite to the truth. And that's what the whole course is about, is the healing. We're in the separated world. We want to live in the true world.
Right.
And that true world has nothing to do with the perceptual framework we're in.
Right. And it's
the
always
opposite.
perception versus knowledge. And knowledge is an all-encompassing, a knowing, a gnosis of our oneness with the Father, with
Right.
the all. And then the fifth law of healing says that perception's laws must be reversed. This is, and it starts off with God's answer lies where the belief in sin must be. So perception's laws must be reversed.
Now, again, perception's laws must be reversed. If somebody says that to you, maybe it has some meaning. Maybe you're not really sure what that means. What it means is that the Course in Miracles, as a course of study, as a course in healing, the laws of healing must be understood. My moment-to-moment perceptual framework of subjects and objects has to be reversed. In other words, if I view myself as living in a perceptual world that's just the world I'm in, this is just where I'm at, and there's nothing I can really do about it, and I do A Course in Miracles, and every once in a while I have an experience of a miracle or something good happening, or whether it's a parking angel or a healing, whatever it is, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. This is about a complete turning on its head of the perceptual laws. In other words, I no longer give them value. Of course, they don't go away. Of course, I'm not walking in clouds. But I take away. What's the word for it? Anyway, I take all value back away from them. I divest in the laws of perception. In other words, that person's doing this thing. I don't care. That doesn't mean anything to me anymore.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is about meaning. And so some of those first lessons about I make meaning out of a meaningless world, and whenever we label anything, we are also, in that labeling, we are judging it and keeping it apart from us. And so when it's saying I make meaning out of a meaningless world, it says you walk around your house and or wherever you are, and you name the thing, and it says, I gave it all the meaning that it has, and then you try to drop what you thought it was. That's the way that perceptual laws are divested from having value.
Right. Okay. Paragraph 6.
Paragraph 6 is also the sixth law of healing. It is impossible that one illusion be less amenable to truth than are the rest. But it is possible that some are even greater value and less willingly offered to truth for healing and for help.
So it's given greater value. So in a world of problems, obviously there's some that we can take up and address them. Others, you can feel it within yourself. No, this is a keeper. You can feel it. You can feel this one's a keeper.
Right.
This one is beyond the Course in Miracles. This one doesn't apply. The metaphysics don't apply here. And you have to look at that as a phenomenon. The idea that I'm creating special circumstances within my own particular issues.
Yes.
Terminal cancer is no different than the parking situation.
Right.
Okay, because it's a principle of reality. It's not because they're really the same thing, because obviously they're not the same thing in our experience.
Right. And there's other places in the Course where it says all problems were solved at the moment that the mad idea came in. So to recognize that the solution has already been given us, even though we are not accepting it, because we still want to play in this world.
So I'd say this principle, this number 6, the principle is notice the weighting, the valuing, the excess value that I give some situations that are, or they seem heavier and more difficult and more intractable than others. This is an indication, obviously, that I'm the one that requires the healing. This is the way that it circles back around immediately, is that if I'm weighting situations, valuing one more than the other, I immediately know that that's a proof positive that I'm the problem. And it says here, God's answer lies where the belief in sin must be.
Right.
So if I see a problem
Outside.
outside of me, then I have to say, it has to, that's a thing I can't deal with. I can't take care of it. How's Holy Spirit going to get in this? It's going to take 1 trillion years. I have to back off and say, no, it's here. It's in me because of that misperception.
Yes.
Okay.
And the seventh law of healing is that sin is not error, for it goes beyond correction to impossibility. Yet the belief that it is real has made some errors seem forever past the hope of healing. And that
that's
really
what
falls
you
into
do
the other one.
when you weight these things. That's what we're is saying. This one can't be dealt with. That's actually a beautiful moment when you say this one can't be dealt with. This one's permanent. This one is someone else's problem. It's a great moment.
The sin is real and it must be dealt with.
Right. It's a great moment because it comes around and says, obviously the problem is here. Now, you don't know what to do with it, but you know where the problem is.
Yeah.
Okay.
The eighth law of healing has that nothing gives meaning where there is no meaning. Forgiveness is the only function here. Sins are belief, and because of that, they limit you to time and place.
So the sins limit you to time and place, so that if I've created a sin, in other words, if there is a situation that's outside of my ability, just recognize that I'd say that as a principle here, forgiveness is the only function, period. Forgiveness.
Right.
Why? Because we have limited ourselves through sin to time and place. And it's obvious in the realm of time and place, some things cannot be fixed. They can't.
Or they can't be forgiven. People feel like they can't be forgiven.
In the realm of time and place,
Right.
some problems are too big. You can't get all those people back from Hiroshima. The problem is too big.
Right.
And you know that forgiveness being the only function, that if the problem is too big, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the Holodomor, whatever problem you want to issue, massive, horrible, nightmare, you're wrong. The problem's here. You've identified the problem with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It's here. It's here. It's here. Now, can I say here, like in a podcast, and say what that healing is? No. It's individual. It's where God talks to me individually to bring joy back.
Right.
And to overcome Hiroshima and Nagasaki because it makes me so depressed.
Yeah, because right after that it says forgiveness is the only function here and serves to bring the joy this world denies to every aspect of God's Son, where sin is thought to rule. So yeah, it's to bring joy this world denies. In the law of the ninth law is that forgiveness takes away what stands between your brother and yourself. It is the wish that you be joined with him and not apart. And how many times do you have a certain brother or a certain situation where you just go, there's no way I want to be joined with that.
So this is saying, what is forgiveness? It's the wish to be joined with him and not apart. That's just what forgiveness is.
Yes.
Simply stated.
Because it reunites. If I can be reunited with my brother, and then I'm also reunited with God.
Okay,
it's all whole.
I'm going to
It's
throw in a
holistic.
little bit of current events. Take the Trump Charlie Kirk paradigm. Kash Patel was cockeyed and all this kind of stuff. And I look at all these kinds of things and I go, I sense within myself an otherness, a distance, a repulsion. It tells you where the problem is. It tells you where the problem is because forgiveness is always a desire to join with. Now, is that always possible? Because you're looking at the leper. You're looking at something that's despicable. I can't join with that. This is where the healing has to happen, and that's what it says.
Right.
Forgiveness takes away whatever that block is, and that block has been placed there. And you know it's there because you don't really want to join.
It always takes willingness.
Yes.
That's what it takes.
Yeah, well, and don't we get that in the
Oh,
next,
yeah.
the next
we
principle?
get that. So here we go. The next principle is that salvation, which is perfect and complete, it asks but a little wish and a little willingness, a little sigh that speaks for heaven as a preference to this world that death and desolation seem to rule.
So salvation is only asking for just, God Almighty, just a little indication on my part that I want to bridge the gulf between me and not say the Holocaust is an ultimate evil, Hiroshima is an ultimate evil. You know, what's happening in the world of politics now is an ultimate evil. It will take tons and billions of years to fix this. We're, in other words, cursing us to living out a time and space purgatory. Salvation is just a little wish to not go there.
Right.
Just a little indication to not go
It's
there.
the faith in the little mustard seed.
That's it.
The mustard seed that grows into this giant bush.
So that's number 10. And what's 11?
11. What is the will of God? It's that his son have everything. He wills this. And he guaranteed this when he created him as everything.
So what does God want from me? What's the whole goal of this? To have unequivocally everything, to be denied nothing. Do you realize what it seems
It's
like?
not have, because he created you as everything.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. From my point is to say, God wants me to have everything. Says he wills his son to have everything. But how did he guarantee it? How did he guarantee it? Because we're not going to do it.
Oh, that's right, because he created him as everything.
We can't participate. So he tricked us and said, you are everything.
Yeah.
You are everything. It's a trick. Because he knows that my avaricious, my greedy nature is that I do want everything, but in the nightmare I created, I can't because it's impossible. Well, he said, no problem, because you are everything. Now we have to understand how I am everything. That's the healing.
Yes.
That's the healing.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
It is.
Okay.
And the 12th law is, and this is where we said that this is the problem, and the 13th law is the solution. Okay, so in this is that we believe that the sin is a belief to attack can be projected outside the mind. So we believe that attack can be projected outside the mind. That is the problem. And
the solution is cause and effect are one, and they're not separate. That's
right.
the solution to that problem.
Right.
So in other words, I think if I have a problem with the Holodomor, with MAGA, with situations in the world, with climate change, with whatever problem I have, and I'm living in my world and I've projected it outside there. See, I'm a little midget shrimp this big doing A Course in Miracles in the privacy of my own solipsistic home, right? That's what I am. And so obviously the hammer's going to fall on me and crush me because I'm not believing that I'm everything. I've projected it out. My belief is outside of myself.
Right.
And the only solution is to realize that that nightmare that I'm throwing out there is causal. And the effects are simultaneous. So if I'm seeing a nightmare, it's because I'm granting it nightmare status.
Right.
That's why
Right.
it's a nightmare. So it obviously it needs healing because I don't have the ability to see the horrors of world situations or even interpersonal conflicts as valueless.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know if there was anything else.
No, that's good because the next one I think follows up.
Okay. Then the 14th law is that the miracle is possible when cause and consequence are brought together, not kept separate.
Okay, so the miracle is possible only when cause and effect are joined. Cause and effect are joined. Obviously, it hasn't really said how to do that.
But it does mention that if loss in any form is possible, then God's Son made then is God's Son made incomplete and not himself. So it gives the sense that the cause was the mad idea. The consequence was that I was going to experience guilt and sin. Now, if I need to know what I've done so that it can be undone. I could be wrong about that. Is that how you interpret cause and consequence here? A miracle is possible when cause and consequence are brought together.
The way I understand it, and it's an important, obviously, this is the entire course summarized for us in 20 bullets.
Yeah,
bullet
for
points.
healing.
For healing. When cause and consequence are brought together, I live in a world where, as I said in the one mentioned, that if I judge Hiroshima as a placeholder, Hiroshima, Nagasaki as an unequivocal evil, and I say that I didn't do it because it's a long time ago. So I have cause and effect separated. I don't know who did it. I'm not doing it. I'm just judging it because I have the ability to do it, right? That's like miracle is possible only when the cause and the effects of the cause are brought together. Now you can see that me as cause can't do anything but judge Hiroshima, Nagasaki, etc. as evil.
Okay.
That's all I can do. So we must be in a situation where God is the only cause. God is the only cause, and I am forever an effect of God.
Okay.
That has to be accomplished, because then if I'm an effect of God, then I have no place to judge that, and I have to go to the...
So it uses consequence versus the word effect. Do you associate those together?
Yes. A consequence is something happens and something results.
Okay.
So a cause has an effect.
Okay.
And so the consequences are brought together. So let's say in the Hiroshima Nagasaki example, or any situation that seems like an unhealable situation, I go there and realize this is a nightmare. I cannot conceive of a solution at all. And I just kind of say, Holy Spirit, Calgonite, take me away. Someday, somehow, you'll fix this thing. I don't know how it's going to happen. Wrong. Healing is always now. So the solution is to say, I'm the problem, mea culpa. I am the problem here. Why? Because I've made myself, I've placed cause outside of effects.
Right.
And I'm judging something and I'm distant. So we're in the fragment. So the only solution is to realize myself as inside God. God is the cause of everything. And then let God determine what his effects are. Let God determine if he did Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I don't determine that God did Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It's a miracle. That's why it's saying it's a miracle. It's possible.
It's possible. Yeah, the miracle
we can't
is
talk
possible
about it.
when cause and consequence are brought together.
You understand? We can't talk about it. We can't come to a solution here by discussing it, because Hiroshima and Nagasaki are an unequivocal bad.
Right.
Some things can't be saved. Some things are
And that's
sins.
where salvation is, it says. And I underline that if loss in any form is possible, then is God's Son made incomplete and not himself.
Right.
And nor will he know himself. So all of that is interrelated into this recognizing that the miracle is possible, when I also recognize that loss in any form is not possible. It's
So here
just
we're
not
saying,
possible.
so the miracle, obviously a miracle, that's the phrase. It'll take a miracle. Miracles don't happen, right? I mean, it'll take a miracle.
Yeah.
In other words, it's outside of my perceptual framework. It's only possible when the cause and effect are brought together. Cause and consequences are melded into one event, one phenomenon called the mind of God, of which I am also an effect.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's go on.
Okay, paragraph 15, which is also the law of the 15th law. God gave to all illusions that were made another purpose that would justify a miracle, whatever form they took. In every miracle, all healing lies.
So in all of these illusions, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the Holodomor, the horrors of the MAGA movement, the horrors of ICE, whatever horrors du jour that you want to heap on the world, the neighbor, the noisy person upstairs pacing around, whatever, he gave to each of those illusions that were made to disturb me and reinforce the fragmentation another purpose.
Yeah, another purpose.
That then justifies the miracle, no matter what the form is,
Right.
no matter how distant in time and space, no matter how uncontrollable.
Yeah, so it doesn't help to just say, they're all illusions.
Yeah.
No, it's to give the illusions to the truth so that they can be made into another purpose that would justify a miracle, whatever form they took.
I believe we cover it in the next, pretty soon on the next one. I think I gave it a double underline. That's after 16. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. And the 16th law is that the miracle but calls your ancient name, which you will recognize because the truth is in your memory. And to this name your brother calls for his release and yours.
You can. The way I understood that, and we said this in the podcast already, the prior, when we covered this.
Yes.
This ancient name issue, the miracle is in the language I don't understand. It's calling to a part of me that's in my dim memory. And so I don't.
They say it's they always say, don't look without, look within. That name that it's speaking of is not like how we name each other, because that creates a separation immediately. It's a capitalized name because it's an identity. It's an identity. The miracle calls but your ancient. If they use the word name, I say it helps me to say identity, which you will recognize because the truth is in your memory. And to this name or identity, your brother calls for his release and yours.
Now, in the Hindu tradition, or in meditation in the Hindu tradition, it'll say name and form. Nama, rupa, name, form. And when you call the name of whatever, the rupa, the form appears. When you conjure the form of whatever it is, the name appears. They're linked. Name and form are linked.
Okay.
And so if I'm conjuring a nightmare image, I'm calling on something that's destructive.
Right.
So if I have an image of something that's nightmarish, I'm going to have a demonic name attached to it. And so what it's saying here is we're talking about the ancient name. We're not talking about my judgment of anything.
Right.
We're talking about a name in a vocabulary, you might say, or an idiom that I don't really understand conventionally. So that's why I was saying that in the circumstance we've been in, I know that I'm being called by the ancient name because I'm in a relationship. It's tormenting me.
Yes.
But I don't understand what the person is asking. So it's the ancient name. So I have to ask, God, tell me what is this ancient name? So I call on it, and God will recognize, he's trying to get outside of the time-space vocabulary.
Right.
To get to the
ancient.
ancient.
It is an outside of time-space reality. Was there anything else with that?
No, that's good. I think 17's a mind blower.
Okay. 17. In crucifixion is redemption laid, for healing is not needed where there is no pain or suffering.
This is where you say crucifixion like it's a bad thing. Now, what the Course is saying here is that crucifixion, which obviously has some pejorative qualities attached to it, some negative qualities attached to it, like suffering and death and getting your skin stripped off. Without the crucifixion, you get no healing.
Yeah.
Because crucifixion is what the healing is about. And so when we're talking about crucifixion, you have to understand, we may have a tendency to push it aside, push it back, of how I crucify myself, or how I crucify another, or how I said, I'm not crucifying them, okay? They deserve it, whatever it is. That person is bringing the end of the world. That person did this horrible thing. They deserve something. And I just feel myself recognize, see yourself at the foot of the cross, and you're shoving that spear into the brother. You are crucifying the Son of God. And it sounds bad, but you got to recognize that moment to have the healing, because there is
That's where the redemption is laid. For healing's not needed where there is no pain or suffering.
And it's not other people crucifying other people. It's always me crucifying other people. It's never, what are those people? They're busy crucifying those other people. That if you're seeing that, you're busy crucifying the whole bunch.
Yeah. And it also says right afterward, forgiveness is the answer to attack of any kind. So whenever we are attacking, the solution is forgiveness.
Yes.
It isn't what I think it is. because as soon as I've made any of these situations real, whether I'm attacking myself or I'm attacking the other, and with the situation that we've had going on in the house and everything else, I realized both were happening. I wanted to oust that form out of my house, and I also was tied up in my own fearful thoughts.
So now in that situation, you feel like a victim.
Yeah.
You feel like you're the one being crucified.
Yeah, I do.
But in that feeling of separation, you're actually crucifying the other.
Right. And I found, I'm just letting you know, I found that it was a call for me to be more vigilant for the kingdom. It was interesting to get hit with something that I considered, dark or evil. I was like, what is it asking of me? First of all, it's always a call for love, no matter how hard it may appear. So it's a call for love, which means I'm also calling for love. Both are happening at the same time. This can't be a loving act that's happening here. Well, it's a call for love. So it has made me more aware of my undisciplined mind. Let's just put it that way. It's made me much more aware of my undisciplined mind. And so in a way, I can forgive it easier when I understand what I've been asking for in this situation that we've been involved in right now. Anyway,
Yeah.
Is that a good summary?
No, yeah, that's good enough.
Okay.
Good enough.
And in the 18th law is to use the power God has given you as he would have it used is natural. It's not arrogant.
So now we're talking about God gave me a power. It said, in your hands does all salvation lie. That was in the earlier one.
Right.
Salvation depends on me. That's one of the lessons. Salvation depends on me. So God has given me the power to bring salvation. It's natural. It's not a big deal.
Yes.
It is the little willingness, and it is the forgiveness. And as it says in the last line, there is no circumstance that power cannot answer, and no problem which is not resolved. Obviously,
Within its gracious light.
right, within its gracious light. And
Yes.
obviously we have a situation, and we go back to the earlier one, it is important, this is work, right? We got a workbook here, is that I withhold some as unhealable.
Yeah.
So that becomes my permanent work. When
Right.
I'm ready to understand that.
And that is the sickness as well. That means I'm in a sick mind at that point, and I'm desiring a healing. And that has to be the willingness. You can see how they all start to move together.
Just as a quick example, with the situation with my son that we've looked at, it has caused me to ruminate on it endlessly. I mean, I've just ruminated. Now I'm going to call that reason to establish faith and belief, so that I have the preconditions for the miracle, is to just say, what's going on? What's going on? What are you saying? What are you bringing? How is this happening? And what I did see was that from just my perceptual basis, the similarities generationally between my grandfather and his relationship with his son, who is my father, his relationship with me, and then me as father and my relationship to my son, to see there's virtually a thumbprint of trying to work something out through the generations. And now my daughter just had a son,
Yes.
so and it's going forward. And and she had a challenging birth. And each of us have our own version of a challenging birth situation.
Yeah.
Each of us.
To birth the Christ.
And the relationship with the feminine is present in all of them. So rather than psychoanalyze it, I was going to do one that just went on and on about me talking about it, but it gets into psychoanalysis. I've seen that I'm in a hamster wheel of effects. It's a hamster wheel of effects.
Right.
And each trip around, each time the hamster runs a track around, it's saying, I'm going to fix it this time. I'm going to fix it this time. And it can't. There's no fixing it, you understand? That's the crucifixion.
Yes.
That we keep going generation to generation to generation until we get it right. It will never come out right. It can't come out right.
Not within the world of illusion.
Right.
It's just not where it happens.
So
It's outside time and space.
the power that God gave me is not to fix it in the time and space situation of my generation or any generation.
Right.
It's the forgiveness and it's salvation.
Right. And it says to use the power of God has given you, as he would have it used is natural. So now it's asking me to recognize my entire oneness with God. The power of God is available at all times.
At all times.
And that's
No matter the situation.
yeah,
or the
that's a
circumstance.
challenge for me right now. As I it seems distant. It seems farther away,
Right.
But that's not arrogant. Arrogance is to think that it's someplace where it's not. It's right here. It's right here with me. And
19?
the 19th law is abide in peace where God would have you be. And it all is about unity, that the unity that specialness denies. For what is one can have no specialness.
So unity can have no specialness in it.
Right.
And specialness is any texture and coloration that I give to the world that has meaningful impact for anybody.
Right.
So, and that's the key in this, that to recognize the lack of specialness. That's the only way I can abide in peace. It's
Right.
not possible to be peaceful in a world where specialness thrives.
That's correct. Yes. And the last one goes back to the ancient name. Your ancient name belongs to everyone as theirs to you. Call on your brother's name, and God will answer, for on him you call.
And we covered that pretty well in the episode, that we did. However, what do you have to say to that? Do you have any?
Well, to me, because it joins myself, my brother, and God, meaning that because of this remembering, I call it a remembrance of the true identity, the name that has no name, that is the name of my brother and God, all is one. To call on your brother's name and God will answer it will answer, for on him you call. So interestingly enough, when I'm uniting with my brother, I'm also uniting with God, and that union is the ancient name. That entire remembrance of the full union is the ancient name that is unspeakable.
And as it says earlier, the desire
Yeah,
to connect with the brother
that willingness
brings in the ancient name.
Yeah,
I don't have to know what the ancient name is. In fact, I can't know what the ancient name is. It's in the effect in terms of God as cause, I am effect. The ancient name plays in that relationship.
Yes.
It cannot play where I am at cause and I
there
affect
is
the
some
world.
indication in the Course that the name is love, but love cannot be defined in the manner in which we understand it here. Love is...
And you're not going to get an answer if you say,
Yeah.
love, answer me, because you're forming mental conceptions. In other words,
Right.
once again, if I do that, love, answer me. I have determined that I know the form, I know the name.
Exactly.
We have to leave it void, and it's better to say who. That's another name for God. In the Asian tradition is who. Ka. I think Ka means who, and so Kohum means who am I. Ka is another name for God, which just means I don't know. That's another name for God. So if I call on the mystery, I have to be calling on, like in the case of my son, and we've already said it, is that there's a mysterious name there that's playing, and that's what the reality of it is. Obviously, I'm locked in causes and effects that I don't like and that create fear and panic or difficulty. And instead, I want to contact the mysterious source of this, and it doesn't replace any actions you do in the world down here.
Right.
It doesn't replace these.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
Ancient name.
Because, when in body and in form, you don't just run in front of a truck and say, it's an illusion.
I know.
It's just not that way. So unless you want to kill yourself. And so when some things are like a truck coming at you down, you just got to get out of the way.
Okay, so that's good. That's our
Yeah.
summary. Summary of a summary.
Summary of a summary.
Thanks.
Thank you.